in that heaviness that I was carrying, I found some sort of joy. And so I wonder how often we carry something and we can't find any sort of joy in it. So tonight I want to ask you, what are you carrying? And is there joy in it? Or are you just carrying around bitterness? Are you finding any joy in anything that you're carrying? And what is it that you carry? So as Jesus is explaining to them about grief that we'll have in the world because of his absence, he tells them this in verse 32, if you want to turn there. He says, "But a time is coming and has come when you will be scattered, each to his own home. You will leave me all alone, yet I am not alone, for my Father is with me." So he's saying, you guys are all going to be spread apart. You're not all going to be together. And the world does that to us. The world wants us to all be just spread apart and not to be close to each other. But that's not how it's supposed to be. So as we're scattered, I want to ask you, what are you carrying and are you letting others carry it with you? Are you carrying things all alone and being scattered? Or are you coming together and letting people carry your burdens with you? Are you finding joy in it? What are you carrying? Ultimately, God wants us to give things over to him, and everyone carries something. But we don't have to. We don't have to carry it, because in verse 33, God tells us, has an amazing promise for us. In verse 33, he's told us these things about having peace, and so I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it in Message because I really like it. "I've told you all this so that trusting me, you will have an unshakable and assured deep, and so you will be," I'm sorry, I'm going to start over. I can't read all of a sudden. "I've told you all this so that trusting me, you will be unshakable and assured, deeply at peace. In this godless world, you will continue to experience difficulties, but take heart, I have conquered the world." And I feel like I've read this verse to you before, because as I was reading it, I'm like remembering having this same, having the same conversation kind of. But I think it's so important that we remember to take heart, because Jesus has overcome the world. And as he's telling us all these things about this godless world and how we'll have pain and how we'll have sorrow and how we're not going to be together, that's not how it needs to be. We don't have to carry things alone. We don't have to carry it without any sort of joy. We don't have to. It doesn't have to be that way. God has overcome the world, and ultimately he doesn't want us to carry those things at all. God gave us the cross. He gave us Jesus so that we don't have to carry those things at all. But we carry them, and they block us from doing the things that we really need to. We have that bitterness in our heart, and we don't see anything else. And so tonight, I want you to think about what you're carrying. And should you still be carrying it? Should you really carry all that bitterness and resentment around with you? Should you carry all that hardship alone? Can you find joy in it, or should you just let it go? So, the band's going to come up in a minute, but there's one thing I want you to do tonight. As you're thinking through these last songs, and I know this was shorter than normal, but as you're thinking through these last songs and kind of asking yourself those questions I asked, the cross is back there in the prayer corner, and there are pictures of backpacks, of the things that we carried. And so on the back of the picture, they're cut up individually. On the back of the picture, I want you to write what you carried. I want you to write, should you be carrying it? I want you to write who you're carrying it with. I want you to write anything that you need to on the back of this. But realize that when you're done writing it, you need to let it go. And so there's tape there, and there's the cross. And I want you to write what you're carrying, and then just tape it to the cross